spicy topic tonight. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Listen, the natives are restless. Hola, 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 mi gente. Please hit that like and subscribe on your way in the door. Take your seats, take your seats. Tonight's going to be another short and sweet one. So don't run around too much. Grab a snack, but stay with us. Howdy, y'all, YouTube press. Good to see you, sir. Okay, guys, you already know the deal. Help mama keep the street lights on the Block with Jen Cash App. It is scrolling on the bottom. You see, go with it. Go with it. You see it? It's right there on the bottom. Thank you so much to everyone who Cash Apps me after I'm off air because you caught the replay and was like, I like this chick. All right, let me support that. Let me support that. So thank you so much to the ladies and gentlemen that do so. Okay, you don't have to, and you do, and I am grateful. Also, you can just super chat us in the chat section if you want us, if you desperately want us to pull up your comment and argue about it. You are also welcome to come up on the panel. We ask that you do show your face. Faces make for better arguments and debates. However, a lot of people like being anonymous and hiding behind their avatar. Ladies and gentlemen, you can do so, but you have to throw some chips in the chat out of respect for the block. Out of respect for the block. If you want to hide your face and talk your shit, throw a couple chips at us. And that's happened before. And we are grateful for you as well who think, yeah, I want to go up there. I don't want to show my face, but I want to get up there and say something to Jen because she thinks she know it all. I want to say something to Lily because I don't agree. And No Saint don't know what he talking about. And Ron can kiss my ass. So I want to get up there and argue with them. You can do so. Okay. We'd love to see your face. However, if you want to hide, just throw some chips at us in the chat out of respect for the block. Okay. It's a little fee. It's a fee for your comfort. All right, guys. So tonight's topic is a doozy, okay? And it's been very, very spicy. It's blown up on TikTok, okay? Woman says a man hit her in the face with a brick while a crowd of men watched. Why, pray tell? Well, according to her, she says she did not want to give him her phone number. Now, the plot has thickened on TikTok. Okay. And I got a lot to say about it, although we're going to be here for maybe an hour or so. So hang with us, guys. Okay. Hang with us. Lily, let the people know where to find you.
I am Lily of YB Limited. That is the letter Y, the letter B, the word limited. And that is how it's spelled on the screen. And you can find me here on YouTube, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Good evening, everyone. I am Saint. I am No Saint. I am Saint No Saint on YouTube, on IG, and just No Saint on TikTok. I am happy to be here tonight, and I'm so happy to see my two lovely ladies here.
All right, guys. So I know we do have YouTube press is already starting. He said Debo always cousins in trouble. All right, guys. I know we do have a little bit of fluff, but since we're only doing an hour, it is up to you if you want to share the fluff or save it for tomorrow. It's up to you guys. What do you want to do?
I can save it for tomorrow
Okay,
because I would rather Haran be here because this is a musical thing and I would like his input in it.
Oh, awesome sauce. Okay. So we'll go ahead. Go ahead, No.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say we don't have to talk about it, but I always like keeping the up-to-date news on certain things.
On who died?
Not on who died tonight. Not on
Okay.
who died tonight. Tonight it is.
No, thank good for telling you who died.
Even if
Hey,
nobody
great.
knows who they are.
Right.
Great. We need to know people who died. That's great.
No, I'd like to say that the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Torrio, has been convicted 22 years, conspiracy. The interesting thing about this was he wasn't at the Capitol. He wasn't anywhere around, but he was the leader of the Proud Boys, and I'm assuming he had some planning and some things to do with it. But he has been convicted of the most years of any of the Proud Boys, 22 years. So
nice, good. I think it sets a great example. You can't just have people running up willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? So great. Glad it happened. I'm sorry for that, man. Great
Well, he
that
was the
happened.
shield too to say that it's not a white supremacist group. The
Mhm.
leader is a Latino.
Oh, that old thing. Oh, do I have stories for them on the
Right.
Latino thing? On the Latino thing. All right.
Right.
All right.
And that's 22 years fair time, may I add, which
Yeah.
means he's doing that 22 years, at least
Yeah.
20 of them.
Well, here's the thing. Um, more comfortable than Gen Pop in regular prison. I'll say that. Right. He's not black. He's not black. Absolute 72. Him doing time and getting locked up. We had a whole show about this. Does not mean that he didn't know he was black, because he is not black. There is such a thing as a white Latino. Okay, I call them white Tinos. You look at someone like Cameron Diaz or Christina Aguilera. These women are not black in any way, shape, or form. And if they were to commit a crime and do prison time, that does not mean that they didn't know they were black. That means that they committed a crime and that lawyers couldn't get them out of it. But there is such thing as white Latinos.
Well, and he definitely wasn't Cameron Diaz complexion, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. He could have been black and part of the Proud Boys, and it still upheld white supremacist things. So that is not an excuse. Your color of your skin, you can still be part of groups that are white supremacist groups, believe it or not.
And he doesn't have to be Cameron Diaz's exact complexion. However, there's such a thing called a Spaniard. People forget about the Spaniards, right? They are not black.
And I want to say he's from, not that it does make a difference. I guess it gives us some perspective. Cuban American.
Yeah. And if anyone knows anything about the Cubans in Miami.
Oh, I know a lot about them. I spent a lot of time down there.
If anybody knows about the Cubans in Miami, okay, they are sometimes worse than your average, white family in a regular old neighborhood. They are worse.
They understand separation.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I have a homegirl who's mixed. Dad's black, mom's white. Dad is as black as this, and he hasn't gotten the memo. Like, he does not like black people, and I'm not talking about the separation of black people. I'm talking about in general. So there's people who exist. I guess he's trans white. I guess that's what you would. I don't know. If that's the word. I'm gonna look it up after the show.
I know a couple of people that are trans white, and also Misty loves their coffee.
Me too, Misty.
And also, again, we have to have a whole show about. In my opinion, tribalism and racism is one and the same. I know some people argue and be like, no, you can't be racist if I don't have a company I can hire you from. I know. If I can't fire you from a company, I can't be racist. Okay? Bullshit. But that's a show for another day. Sometimes it's just tribalism. Sometimes it's just, I feel better in this tribe because they're not degenerate, or this tribe because they're winning, or this tribe because we have more in common, right? So again, tribalism, racism, them are cousins, okay? Them are cousins.
I literally had this conversation with a friend earlier today, and at first he didn't want to see it, but then after a while he was like, well, hold on now. You got a point there. But I would try to explain it. It's the same damn thing. It's just that we're taught to get ignited by one, and there's the trauma behind it as well, but it's tribalism at the end of the day.
Yeah. Same. All right, guys. So welcome. Hold me down, chat. I didn't put it on subs only, but I will. So a little more fluff that we could probably expound on tomorrow was, a lot of people are mad that The Rock and Oprah asked commoners to help them, help Maui. Yeah, people were mad. People were very cynical in the comments and in the feedback. You guys hear about that?
I sure enough did. I was part of people that were side-eyeing. I was like,
You didn't hear about that? No Saint.
Exactly. What are you saying now?
Oprah was asking for money.
Oh yeah,
Why you said it like an aunt? You was like Oprah was having money. Pass the Collins.
yeah. No, I heard. Yeah, yes. I did see about yes.
I was about to say it was pretty viral. How did you not hear about that? No Saint.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to expound on that a little bit more tomorrow. But basically, if you didn't hear, The Rock and Oprah got together and did a little, an Instagram reel, basically saying, would you guys help us dig deep in your pockets? We're starting a fund for Maui. And then everybody was clapping back. I think they were tone deaf. And I don't think that celebrities realized. I thought the strike was going to teach them, Lily. The strike taught them no one gives a fuck about you, especially if you're a millionaire and you've had fame and fortune. Nobody gives a fuck that you're having a couple bad months. Nobody cares, right? So here come insert Oprah Winfrey and The Rock, and they did a cute little video and they're standing together like they're very concerned. And they're asking, the commoner, regular old folk, will they help fund the Maui, the Maui fund for the fires, the aftermath and all of that, which was absolutely tragic, absolutely horrific, right? And I don't think because you give them the side eye, it means you don't care about Maui. It is absolutely horrific. There are tragedies going around us every single day, every hour on the hour. We only hear about a smidge of the mass shootings, just a little tinge
Right.
of the mass shootings. A lot of things happen globally, worldwide. And it's great to help if you can. But, people were cynical because we're looking at a billionaire and someone who's very, very, who's on the tip of being a billionaire. And aside from being billionaires, let's be clear, aside from what they have in their bank account, they have access, they have networks, they have liaisons, they have connections to where they can make $100 million. Literally overnight, right? Because everybody wants them to show their brand. If The Rock holds up, hey, I hold Essentia, that's a couple millions for the brand. So it's not just their tax bracket. It's just that they have the ability to make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for Maui specifically. I heard there's rumors that Oprah has 200 acres. She owns 200 acres in Maui, right? So people gave them the side eye, right? And then The Rock did another video on his page and he was like, hey, I gave $5 million, or was it 10 million? 5 or 10? He was like, hey, I guess he wanted to put it out there like, yes, I gave some of my own money before you come at me. But The Rock is a businessman, very smart, very strategic. And he didn't say, hey, for all you people coming at me. He just said, he put in his little caption, I started it with $5 million. Like I gave I think it was 5 or 10. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember his post exactly. I'm not sure if it was 5 or 10 million. Let me see what he said here. But I was like, oh, that's cute. He did another video and he made sure to post that he gave his own money, because that's a lot of the complaints these people were having. You would think that these celebrities don't watch their social media, but they pay very much. 5 million. Okay, here it is. Here's the follow-up video he did. And he was clear to put in the caption, I donated $5 million and plan to raise and donate much more. And I think that this is something that the Habs should have taken care of. I don't think they should have fixed their face at all. To my opinion, I don't think they should have fixed their face at all to ask someone else for money. And let's look at a small scale. Right? That's the equivalent of I'm helping some kids in my neighborhood with some backpacks and pens and pencils. What I'm going to do is watch your mics. I got to echo. What I'm gonna do is get together with my regular working folk. I'm gonna say, hey, Lily, I want to get 10 backpacks. You know what I mean? This year in September. Hey, no Saint, what you got on 5 backpacks? Let's call her around. That's the equivalent of me doing that and then calling my grandmother and saying, hey, grandma, can you put something on these backpacks? That to me is the equivalent. Like if you're going to take care of a thing, then take care of a thing. And I thought with the network that both The Rock and Oprah have, they shouldn't have ever done that video. Their resources are immense. their connections, their liaisons, their brand network. There's no reason why they should have went online, asked regular people, hey, can you help us? Can you help us out with this? I thought that was a tad ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was definitely ridiculous. Um, and I like the example that you gave. That I like the example that you gave. It's like leave other people out of this because all she had to do was get on the phone or have her secretary get on the phone. Hey, Oprah's office. You might. That's all. Look, that's all they had to say. You mind giving? Boom! It would the check would have been sent or the money would have been transferred. And very tone deaf because they don't realize that we're like in. They're saying that we're not in a recession, but we're headed into one, regardless of whether we're in one or headed into one. Motherfuckers is broke.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is not a good time. And like you said, there's so many things going on in this world. And then there's so much going on in a lot of personal people's lives, but these people wouldn't know that. They're totally, they're on their yachts for the weekend and things like they don't know what's going on. And this is just another example of that. Unfortunately.
I mean, after they did the Instagram reel, they both boarded their little, PJs, their private jets, and went back to the mansions and played with the kids out back, right? So I just thought it was tone deaf. I thought it was silly. I knew the Ukraine was going to come up whenever we talk about this country acting dumb about anything. If you want Jewish people to show up, talk to Black people about Black degeneracy. If you want Ukraine to show up, talk about, we're saying millionaires should be able to foot the bill, right? Here's the thing, like Ukraine, there's reasons why this country, and I thought this goes without saying, and it was pretty obvious. And I swear, I use elementary examples, Lily, because I'm surprised that people don't understand how this country works, right?
They don't.
If Lily's the go-to person, okay, she's a power, I'm a power, and no saint needs some shit, Lily gets priority. That's how human beings work. That's how companies work. That's how businesses work. America's a business. Or did you think it was a big old red, white, and blue flag that hugs you when you go to sleep at night? It's a fucking business. This country is a business. So when you say, well, if they got money to help the Ukraine, they're helping Ukraine because it's business. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's not that they don't care about people dying in Maui, but it's not personal. It's business. And there are no feelings.
I was about to say they technically don't care. It's not that they hate you or that they're being racist in that moment. It will never be about the people. It will always be about the profit. Ever.
Never. And I think people that say that are ignorant to the fact that America is a business. Not that, do you really believe all the warm fuzzy commercials that come on at 3:00 in the morning about the ASPCA and shit? Like, really?
You're still
no saying.
Yeah. It's a little bit. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's like when you look around and you say, okay, the United States, we're going to help this country. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like when people are talking about, we're helping this country to establish democracy. But there's some country in the middle of nowhere that is a dictatorship that we never get involved with. Why? Because the interest is not there. But to say that the reason that there's so many people a lot of people bringing up Ukraine, there is a huge Russian Chinese propaganda against the Ukraine war, and they've got people believing that Ukraine somehow is not important, and it is hugely important that we support Ukraine for political purposes and for making sure Russia basically doesn't get a hold in that region. So, and as far as that, there's also something that we always talked about in the military, and Louis Kanye should know this. It's a different color money. There's money that goes to the Ukraine, and then there's money that there's different pots of money can go different places. My whole thing is with Oprah and The Rock, it's fine to ask people to donate. That's all fine and good. I always look at it as this. I pay taxes, and there's plenty of churches out there that can go ahead and throw their money towards Maui. I pay taxes so the federal government can go and help Maui out. I shouldn't have to donate more money when I pay taxes, right? And not to say that I wouldn't. I mean, not to say I wouldn't, but I shouldn't have to. So anyway, that's just all I wanted to say. You're right though, Jen, and I think it's a little bit more complicated than just being a business. Government and business have some
Well,
differences.
I just break it down. I break it down very, very elementary, very kindergarten, because people do not understand. Right? I just break it down. It's a business. It's not your business. Although you think you're cohesive with the country. And the t-shirts look great on 4th of July. However, there's still a parent company. There's still a business. So that's. And I'm surprised when people don't understand that. They still have it's a bizarre. It's like Chris Rock said one time. It's a bizarre relationship that Americans have with America, but America is literally the uncle that molested you but sent you to college.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing, people need to, everybody, we all pay taxes, right? And we're in a country of 340 something million people that pay, and a lot of them pay taxes. So to think that you have a say in where your like everybody's tax dollars, like my tax dollars shouldn't go to support single mothers with kids. Well, maybe I want mine too. So that's fun. So it's my tax dollars too. It's not just your tax dollar. Anyway,
Good point.
I don't want to get off in that direction.
Good point.
Right.
That hurts me too.
We can get into it. We can definitely break all that down on another day, because it is a loaded topic. You are crackling again though. No Saint. Yeah. Tris pointed that out, and it is jiggling in my ears.
I love Mr. Justin.
He summed it up nicely. Mr. Justin says Americans think we're dating America, but America is for the streets. Thank you. That is the best way. You did it better than me. You did it better than me.
I'm gonna steal that one, Justin. I'm reposting that.
Well, we gotta steal it. We gotta steal it.
That's good.
America is for the streets, bitch. All right, so again, I'll just end with this. I don't think it's cool that they asked for money. Their network is phenomenal. They didn't have to go and do that, and then it just looked contrived and really silly. It just looked it didn't land. It didn't do what they thought it was gonna do. Okay, it didn't land.
This is a case. It's a perfect example of right message, wrong messengers. Because like if us three came out and say, hey, give to the people of Maui, people would be like, okay, this makes sense. Okay, regular people.
Right.
But come on now.
Yeah. No. So tonight's topic, I want to talk about this young lady, Houston resident, Somalian community to be specific, in Houston, was attacked by a man. And this story is still developing, by the way.
Mhm.
So this could be, we could speculate tonight. We could speculate, nothing wrong with a little speculation. We could speculate. Why wasn't she protected? Woman gets hit with brick for not giving man her number. That is her in the hospital. I do have video of right after the incident happened. And I have a man who's responding, who was on the scene, according to him. Again, the story is still developing. So I'm going to give you what I got, and we could dissect that. So this is the young lady here right after the situation happened. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for pulling up to the block. Please hit that like and subscribe. Hi, where you been?
This man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just watch, and they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me, fucking grabbed a rock, and it hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. Y'all see that shit? Y'all see that shit? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face? Man, fuck all y'all niggas. Have I ever done to anybody in my life to deserve this? I never did anything in my life to hurt anybody. Literally, a man asked me for my number. I said no, and he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, what you gonna do? And I told all these men, like, yo, why this man got a brick on my face?
All righty. So I don't have this young woman's name thus far. I do have a video response to one of the men that was there that she was pleading to, why didn't you protect me, right? I have his video as well. But initially, what are your thoughts before I play the video of one of the men that was there?
Well, we're going by that. I would say that it's plausible because that's a thing. That's a real thing. I know for me, being out and about all the time, that's always a concern of mine. Actually, that's why I ended up leaving the parade early yesterday, just because I was feeling uncomfortable with people trying to ask for my number, and they're drunk and they're getting drunk, and I don't want to give my number, and I'm like, yeah, it's time to go. Um, so it's a plausible thing. Like you said, it's still developing. I would like to know, like, I would like to hear from more people who were there, because like she said, there were more men there. um yeah, and I'll come back because I have another layer I want to add to it.
Okay. Thank you to the Block Stars. I've been informed her name is Rhonda Osman. Rhonda Osman. And she is Somalian, which is why she has a quite a exotic look. I went to her TikTok page, quite exotic looking woman. No, Saint, what say you?
Yeah, and accent as well. I think that short of her having a gun or a knife, there's really no reason for a guy to have a brick and throw it at a woman's face, number or not. I mean, I don't think there's any reason for that. So that's what I think so far.
Okay. Well, I had the same initial thought. I was like, unless she had a weapon, a brick to the head is that's pretty violent, right? Unless you were fighting for your life. Welcome, Spro. Now it's a party. How are you, sir?
Pretty good.
We missed you, Spro. We missed you on the block.
I've been exploring
Nice.
the YouTube streets, and I'm now addicted to Clubhouse too.
Oh,
What? Not
you
Clubhouse.
jumped out
Yeah.
the frying pan into the fire.
I thought
It's-
Clubhouse was
it's-
passe now.
Clubhouse is like, I'm like, why did I get on that? I remember when everyone was talking about it during COVID, and I was like, stupid.
Oh,
I should have been got on that. That's like where I
Yeah.
need to be. Especially, Jen, aren't you like hardcore atheist? You would love it there.
really? Is it
Yeah.
like an atheist community?
There's a lot of religious debates. Like, you got to listen to the Christians and Muslims go back and forth. It's
Oh, that's gotta be fun.
It's so fun. But to the topic.
Did you
so
see the video? Did you see the videos, bro?
I just now saw it on your jaw, but the YouTube streets have been on fire for like 2 days. I keep seeing this,
Yes.
and I saw
Yes.
you had one coming up, so I went and asked my wife. I was like, "You heard about this broad getting hit with a brick?" And she's like, "Indeed, I did." And we had a whole talk about violence against Black women because I was on another panel earlier, Lurkin, right? And they were talking about it, but on this particular show, they do, I feel like, a lot of fear mongering, and they were of course saying that like, oh, this woman got hit by a brick because of the manosphere. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay.
But I'm not gonna lie, I was like, she's probably full of shit. Violence against Black women has probably gone down. Lo and behold, I looked it up, it's gone up. Like, it's crazy. But and get this, it ranges from like, I'm talking 3-year-olds to senior citizens, which proved my fact that it's not because of the manosphere, but there is a problem.
Mhm.
Now, the young lady getting hit with a brick, that is wild that no one did anything. I do not know the circumstances. Now, I will say this, even though does not make it right. I'm not saying she's full of shit. She did not deserve to get hit by a brick, especially if she did not give some bull her number. But whenever you see a video that's less than 1 minute, you're only getting the information that they want you to see. I'm not saying that she was in the wrong. I'm not saying, but we don't have the full story. And I think a lot of the narrative right now, not narrative, but a lot of the talk right now is like, why didn't anyone do anything? I don't know if anyone, I'm talking like as a man in the inner city, Philly, all day. Yeah, the Phillies, they about to play. Oh, they're playing now. I have seen domestic or otherwise, I have seen violence right in the streets. Now, sometimes you learn the environment, you learn what you can do and what you're capable of. and you act as such. However,
Mm.
I got people to come home to, right?
Okay.
I can't, and that's just for me. I'm not trying to make
Okay.
excuses, but like, that's one of the first things I thought about. I've seen some stuff happen to sisters that is messed up, and I'd be sitting there like, damn, man, I wish. However, that nigga, and then what's crazy, I saw a girl get body slammed one time, and I started to be like, oh, and I was at the bus stop with like 3 other bulls, and then she got up and followed this nigga to his car, and we were like, you know what? If that's how you feel, but that's I'll leave it there.
Okay, so George Cook, I said George Cook is the second person I say say this. Sorry, he says, I think Jen said this is a Somalian community. This could also be a cultural thing. Tristan also said,
Yeah, he said something similar.
if she's Somali around Somali men, they will not get involved. They hit their women. All right, that's.
Can I say? I just want to add something to what Spro was talking about a little bit. Not exactly, but he made me think of something. Also, there a lot of times people, and this shouldn't be because there's a bunch of guys standing around, but a lot of people will stand back and not get involved. One person gets involved, other men might have got involved. A lot of people tend to wait for somebody else to act first.
It'll turn into a rumble. Yeah, because get this, it's like, okay, I'll do something, but if I have backup. So like if you see one bull go and be like, hey man, you know, and then the guy gives him attitude, you'll be like, hey bro, come on, man. It's not that kind of party. So you're right.
So
Yeah,
I'm not. Go ahead, Lee.
I just want to say it's tricky because I know for some people it seems just really cut and dry, but there's a lot of nuance that can take place in situations like this. For instance, domestic violence. For me, I learned as a teenager to stay out of domestic violence situations because I'll be in jail and they'll be laid up talking shit about me. Right? I've seen it so many times. So people is this domestic violence? Is this, what do I do? Is he strapped? But so it's not as cut and dry. But like I said, I'm gonna go more into that later on.
Okay, did anyone see the video? I forgot where. You guys will know. The chat will know. Where the black man stopped this young Mexican boy from getting jumped by a mob of people. A mob. And when I say mob, I mean mob.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that? It was like 20 or 30 people. Now, he was just one man. Okay. He saw this little Mexican boy running, and then a mob of kids jumped on him. Like they could have easily murked that kid. Easily. He ran up in the crowd, I'm talking about football pushing all of them back, and he puffed up, okay, and was on some I dare ya. And the crowd dispersed. Right? He didn't question, there could be a gun here, there could be a knife here, he just saw they're going to kill this boy. I wish I had the video with me. I'll have it on another day. This guy's being hailed a hero. He was on the news, all kinds of things, right? He's being rewarded as he should, right? I've never seen anything like that.
That's dope.
I've never seen one man, just the one man. Like it looked like it was a reflex. He just ran and he wasn't thinking that. However, I feel those people are far and few in between. And I don't hold anything against the man that says, I'm not jumping in that situation because I got a family to go home to, right? And I think that both sides are shamed, and that's the problem, right? The men that would step in, let's say someone did step in for this woman who got hit in the face with a brick. I mean, we'd be hearing all over YouTube what a simp he is.
He's
right?
a simp, yeah.
Right?
A white knight.
Right.
Get this, he would have gotten away with the brick, got hit with the brick. That would have been on the news and would have been like, see, this is what happened when brothers get in the way of black women. And don't you know, it was because she was trying to talk to another brother. Like
right.
that, yeah, you're right. That would have been the narrative.
Yeah. So now TikTok is TikToking, and black men and black women are at war on TikTok. They're at a complete and total utter war. Then there are the people in between, like the black women who are agreeing with the black men because, you know, it gets them more views if they agree with the black men. And the black men is like, oh, an ally. You hate black women too, although you're a black woman. So it's a convoluted mess on TikTok, right? So what had happened was, fast forward before I play this next video, what had happened was, according to TikTok, and then I went to see for myself, this woman is, you know, she has I wouldn't even say she's an influencer. However, she has a TikTok page like a lot of people do, and she does little pranks on the street. And there was a series of videos where she went up to white people, you know, joking about reparations and asked the white people, could she slap him in the face and say her little spiel, right? And the white guys were like, okay, cool. Right. So people are saying, look, she attacks men all the time. She attacks men all the time. That's what she gets. Right. But it was part of her TikTok, her whole little TikTok theme or whatever. She wasn't like running up on people and, you know, slapping them in the face and then ha ha ha. Now, were her videos corny? Yeah. But a lot of TikTok pranksters are fucking corny. I'm like, you get views for this?
They're
But
the worst.
like the worst, but people like buffoonery. They like buffoonery.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, I didn't think her videos were funny. I thought they looked awkward. The white men didn't look like, hey, yeah, I'm really down with this. They were kind of like, huh, okay, I guess. Like, it didn't look like, you know, these were her buddies and it was like, hey, let's do a skit. It really looked like random men because she slapped one guy and he was like, well, we're all kind of the same people. Then he tried to give her that whole thing and then she did her twerking thing or whatever. Okay, so people are using that against her on TikTok and saying, see, she likes slapping people. That's why that happened to her. Right?
Well, that's not what she said. I need another person that was there. I need one other perspective of this scenario in order to really say anything. Because if we just have her testimony, it looks really messed up. Now, her being an influencer, automatically I was like, and you in some drama. That doesn't mean clearly. I would like to think, because like when you said she's a TikTok prankster, first place my brain went was, this was a bit, the whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. I use the word influencer loosely. I wouldn't call her that. She has like a regular old little TikTok page, she does TikTok. It's not like I am a TikToker. She's kind of like a goofy girl, honestly. And she does commentary, like, you know, commentary on trending topics and things like that. But she's not as established as other TikTokers I've seen where they're like, this is my bread and butter. This is what I do. She's kind of like a goofy chick that, you know, does commentary on stuff like everybody else on social media, literally like everybody else. I didn't get influencer from her. If she is, she's not doing a good job.
So Jen, can I before you show the video, can I just?
Yeah, I was going to pass the mic to you before I show the video because I want to hear what you have to say about the first video.
I think that regardless of if it was a prank or if whatever, hitting somebody with a brick is a heinous act. And if there's not a situation where somebody's defending themselves, you know, because you're coming at them with a knife or some sort of other volatile, you know, or lethal or semi-lethal type of weapon, you see a grown man getting hit with a brick, that's a problem. Like, and that should be a problem. Excuse me, getting hit by the bottle.
Daddy, I need more water.
Go ahead and get your water, baby. So that's my opinion about the whole situation, and it stimulates me, regardless of the circumstances, to do some form of intervention. You know, whether I'm not involved or not, whether, you know, I know this person or not. It's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like somehow to try to do some sort of intervention. Now, you know, because I can't even identify any kind of justification for that type of scenario unless it's just somebody's attacking another person and they grab the big as for defense.
Okay, so let me grab these super chats right quick. Thank you, Adam Hearn, for the super chat. Adam Hearn says, Somali pirates about to mount up and take sail. Jesus. Thank you, Haran DeMarco. Haran is off for tonight. Haran DeMarco says he's a simp until it's your daughter being protected, Black men, and women clamor for heroes just as long as their sons or husbands aren't risking their lives. Everyone's got an opinion until they got to put skin in. Well, so I do agree with you, ish, strange as it sounds, because it was a brick. I'm not understanding why the extra conversation. It was a brick. He could have killed her. It was a brick. Regardless of what it was. I don't care if she was mouthing off. It was a brick. He could have cracked her skull. He is a man. But I'll play the next video.
That's like the end of Friday.
Someone got hit with a brick at the end of Friday.
Remember, Craig grabbed the brick when he was fighting Debo.
Oh, yeah. I barely. Let me play this next video.
Doing YouTube.
So this is a guy who claims he was there.
I was one of the guys who was there that did not help her when she was getting hit with the brick, right? I feel like people need to know the whole story before they start commenting and saying things they don't understand or they don't know. You guys don't even remember who you guys are trying to defend, who you guys are trying to speak up for. This is the same woman that was going around smacking white people in the streets. She's not innocent. She was actually taunting the guy to hit her. Why would I go defend somebody that's actually looking for trouble? This woman, she is literally a troublemaker. Everybody that knows her in our community knows she's a troublemaker. I'm not going to risk my life over somebody that's actually out there looking for trouble. If you go on social media, online, you're going to see some of her antic videos, taunting people, looking for a reaction. Well, she got what she been looking for, and you guys are giving her the attention.
Okay. So that is his take on what happened. Have you changed? Has it swayed the jury?
I mean, it's just something to consider, but just like I'm more so still looking at her face and, and things like that. But at this point, I'm still looking at her like I'm kind of on her side and believing her because I'm just looking at her face and stuff like that. And even if she was taunting the guy, why would you still hit a woman with a brick? Like the men I know, they walk away from women. So
I was
So yeah, let me go real quick. So sounds like some jailhouse lawyering there to me, but I can ask you to kill me because I want to die. You're still going to jail for murder. It's still not. It's a horrible, horrible excuse that he's trying, or a horrible way he's trying to sweep it under the rug. It doesn't matter. She could have said, hit me. And he takes a brick and hits her up the side of the head. That's attempted murder. I mean, I don't know what they're going to charge the guy with if they catch him. But
I mean, it's assault with a deadly weapon, easy. So I mean that dynamic. But I mean, I understand. Let me say this: I know two anecdotal experiences where situations like this have occurred. One where I personally intervened into seeing a couple fighting in a car. And the guy was literally pummeling her and just, just punching away. So me and another brother intervened, pulled her out, separated them, dropped her off where she wanted to go, came back to the location because we were going to go get some food there. The guy comes to us and says, where'd you drop her off? We said we dropped her off somewhere in the jungles, which is a area in LA. And he said, I was fighting with her because I was trying to stop her from going to the crack house. So one aspect of it, that doesn't justify you beating her down. That's not going to stop her from smoking crack. It's going to inspire her to get another hit. So from that aspect of it, it was a bad scenario that we were in the middle of that we didn't know anything about. But at the end of the day, I just, as a man, could not sit there and watch another man beat a woman like that in the car, regardless of the circumstances. Number two, I know a brother out of Atlanta who, martial arts kid, young brother, stepped in, guy beat up his girl. She called him. He came in, intervened in the situation. The next time they got into a domestic dispute, she called him again. That guy killed him. So it's a double-edged sword in your intervention in trying to be some sort of advocate for Black women or any woman in a situation, because again, you don't know what you're walking into. So it's it's hard. It's a 50-50 scenario. It's like you take a risk, but to just become ambivalent and just walk away, I don't think we can do that as a community or a society.
Now, what do you mean by community?
As a community of people, like if you just live in that same community, it doesn't have to be just Black community. I'm just saying as a society at large, like men have a responsibility in the community in which they live for being protectors and providers, to intervene in, just the breakdown of the fabric of the community. That's our role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the society just cries out, where are the men? First thing they say. Whatever racial paradigm exists. So if that's the case, then if we set a standard and tone, then it starts to make people think secondary versus taking a position of being ambivalent and walking away. Well, I don't want to die. I don't want nothing to happen to me. You know what I mean? But if you allow, this type of behavior to continue in your community and it becomes commonplace, your community becomes unsafe.
Spro, what say you after watching that video? Does it change your mind at all?
Okay, so when he first started talking, I was like, whatever, bull, like, get on with it. Like, what is your reasons? Because at first, like, and he's a poor communicator. However, okay, here's what we know so far, right? And this is the order that I've gotten the information. This is like Law and Order. Okay, so she was hit because she did not give a man her phone number. No one from either testimony has denied that was the reason why she got hit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No one did anything about it, and there were witnesses, and then none of the men who were of those the men of those witnesses did not intervene or do anything. And you know what? You right, the whelp on her face, that is a hard, because even where I'm about to land the plane, when that was mentioned again, I was like, oh damn, no. Again, she got hit in the face because she did not give a man her number. I don't think anyone would argue that's fucked up, right? So that's that, and no one did anything. None of the witnesses did anything. We also learned that she is known for she does pranks or whatever, which sometimes get physical. They are for the most part harmless. She doesn't have a crazy following, and it really is not anything that anyone doesn't do. However, she does do them, and they do sometimes get physical, right? Regardless of who it is on. I'm not going to get into like whether it's white men or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another little fun nugget. This was it Somali culture thing? That
Yes.
I did not know. That is very interesting as well. Again, if that is their culture, that does not make it okay by any means, but that is also something to take into consideration, because if we're talking about in the grand scheme of why didn't the men intervene, then that is something that would be, included. Now, that brother's testimony, he said she is known for being a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
I do now, when I hear that, I don't think that it necessarily had anything to do with her being a woman, Somali culture, or anything like that. And this is just one guy. But we got the information before we watched his video. We had the information from Eugen that she was known for, she does the pranks, even if they are harmless. She may be such a pain in the ass. Get this. I don't think that means that this scenario was her doing a prank or a TikTok. No, by no means, because no one has denied that the reason that she got hit was because she denied a man her number. That is fucked up. We could talk about that. However, the reason why I don't think anyone intervened is because, again, this guy even said this is someone, they're in their community, right? She's around the way. He's obviously around the way. And it wasn't until the end of like what he was saying that I understood that he was like, yo, she's known for, like, I'm not getting involved. Like, you always fucking with people anyway. People probably don't feel bad for her, probably just because of her and what they think of her. That doesn't mean
Okay, so Lance, bro.
honestly, that's what I'm saying. I don't think I think that, like, from what he was saying, I don't think they were talking about that specific situation. I don't think in that specific situation anyone's saying like, oh, this was her doing a prank or whatever. She denied a man her number, and that nigga got mad, and because he's Somali or whatever, he hit her with a brick. And because most of the other cats around there are used to seeing that kind of thing, they didn't say anything. And the bull, being someone who's not from that culture, just being there, being like, yo, look, I saw it. Yeah, but you know what? I don't feel that bad because like she's known around the way for being a pain in the ass, and like no one wants to get involved with her. So like I don't feel that bad because she has fucked with people before.
Okay, so I'll say this. Kari says, so she was saying, hit me, do it, I dare you, hit me. I don't know where he got that dialogue from.
Yeah, I don't think she said that at all.
I don't know where he got that dialogue from, but
I think people are assuming that because of what he said and because of what she's known for.
And then he also says, it's wrong, that's for sure, but I ain't jumping in for a person who dared a person. You fuck around, you find out. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the thing that men miss, the men that think like this. They're like, hey, you fuck around, you find out. Here's the thing. A man that would hit a woman in the face with a brick is the type that would assault a woman, period. Okay? Doesn't matter what she says. Doesn't matter what she does. If a man, right, is the type of person to pick up a brick and hit a woman in the face with the attempts to cave her face in, it would happen to your daughter just for saying, can you please not bother me?
Oh, hell no.
Okay? Yeah, because men that are violent towards women, men that don't like women, all they see is woman. They don't care how nice she is. They don't care what charity. They don't care who her daddy is. But it's funny that men, and I saw a lot of men on TikTok doing this, kind of like along the lines of what Kari's saying. Their theme is, well, fuck around and find out. If you got a big mouth, you're going to find out. If you got an attitude, you're going to find out. If you have a problem in the neighborhood, you're going to find out, right? But here's the thing. Men that attack women, it doesn't matter whether the woman is problematic or not. They just think violence against women is okay. So you have to be very careful what you're saying, because one day your daughter, your mother, your sister, your niece could end up, okay, on the other side of that brick just because she's a woman. And that's what these guys, that's what these guys miss. That some men have a deep disdain for women, period.
And it's growing daily.
And it's growing daily. Okay.
You know,
man, forget they mom, forget they daughters or aunts or auntie. Like, honestly, no, your fellow guys, get this. Okay. So this is what's getting irritating. Cause like, I'm not going to lie, let's keep it, but like there is like the men and women stuff, like it is a problem. And like, I have a heart for it because, you know, like the manosphere stuff that really did, like, again, it started to change the way I think. While at the same time, I understand why those cats think that way. The past few weeks, yo, I've been spending a lot of times in so many different spaces. I've been spending time with the aunties that like divest and all that, and the bitter, you know, black, you know, sisters with PhDs, and then some of the manosphere panels. And what's crazy is a lot of the manosphere panels, they're technically manosphere panels, but they be getting those hardcore bulls out of here. But then I spend time on those hardcore panels, and them niggas hate women. And it breaks my heart because in all honesty, I literally go in, everyone's talking about the same stuff. So like this brick thing, the people that hate the manosphere, that are all for women and wanting to protect black women and all that, they're talking about it. And the manosphere who hates women, they're talking about it. They're both talking about the same stuff. I go into both rooms. I say the same thing. The only difference that I do is I try to get them to see why the other, all I say is, why do you think the other side feels that way? Where do you think that's coming from? Even if they're wrong, you can still think that they're wrong, but you have to understand why they feel that way. Where do you think that's coming from? And I get the same reaction from the brothers. I get, oh, Spro is sisterhood. From the other ones, I get, oh, Spro is manosphere. They be in the chat saying all kinds of foul shit about me, and it's crazy. And what they don't realize is everyone is saying the same thing. So from that shows me, yeah, there is definitely, it's not in no one's head. There is a problem between men and women. And I don't think it's the kind of thing where it's who's not doing what. We are different, yo. We're different, and we both have different roles. And
you might.
Okay, so that's, I'm trying to understand what that had to do with me saying that men that are violent towards women and think that violence is okay towards women would be violent to the women in these men's lives. And these women don't have to be someone with an attitude.
Right.
because that was my point. My point is that these guys, when they cheer on this behavior, like, oh, maybe if she didn't have an attitude, she wouldn't have got a brick to the head. And I am saying that men that would be violent towards women are violent towards women, no matter what that woman's reaction is. Any little thing sets them off because they don't like women. There are men that don't like women. When you read these manifestos, these men are literally, I don't like women. They should be destroyed. I said here the other day, when you scroll YouTube, the words that they use when they are discussing women always start with woman gets destroyed. Women gets handled. These women are delusional. Women get put in their place. That is how these manosphere clowns and these red pill clowns sell the clickbait. Feminist delusional. Feminist gets put in her place. Okay. I know because it happened to me, and I am the last motherfucker on the planet that's a feminist. However, he could not sell, okay, the clip that he posted had he said, well, shit, Jen sounds more red pill than me. Jen sounds like a male chauvinist pig. That's not going to sell. So he had to sell it by saying, feminist finds out, right? So let's not pretend that these men don't sell hate for women. Let's not fuck around. And and let me say this, and people are not gonna like this, but when I hear there's an obvious divide between men and women. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. No shit. Men and women are fucking different. They're supposed to be. There seems to be this glitch in the fucking matrix that we're supposed to mesh and blend. We are fucking different. Men and women are supposed to be different. Can we come together and mesh and get along? We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to not like what men like. Men are not supposed to like what women like. We're not supposed to even like our conversations. We're not supposed to. But the biggest issue I see in the gender divide is men not knowing their fucking lane. That's the biggest issue I see in the gender divide is men being bitter because they don't want the lady with the PhD, because they can't get the beautiful woman. If men knew their lane, and men never know their lane. It could be a guy on the corner without a fucking job, living in his mama's basement, and I'll pass by, okay, when I used to work corporate in my fucking suit with my purse, and he'll be on the corner trying to get me. Why is that?
He's got balls.
Why is that? Because men inherently do not know or accept their lane. Now, if that guy on the corner with the no job living in his mama's basement went down to the welfare office, let's say, or went down to the unemployment line, or went down and wherever women are that aren't very attractive. If he went down there, he can get a woman to love him and love him very much. If he has no standards and he's low on the totem pole, and I know that's not politically correct anymore, but bear with me. If he's low on the totem pole and he finds himself a woman that's low on the totem pole, they're going to get along famously. He won't be in the manosphere and red pill spaces complaining about women don't want him and beautiful women are whores and women are hypergamous. Because guess what? That bitch at the unemployment line, that bitch that has no standards like you, she's not going to be hypergamous. She'll take you as is off the corner and she'll visit you in your mama's basement. Easy.
Yo, she's not lying to y'all. Actually, Jen, I don't know if I would have used the same words because, to not trigger people to get them to actually, take it in. But yo, kids, she's right. And to add to it just a teensy bit, the manosphere does not make up most cats. And when you were saying that, Jen, I was like, yo, she right. She preaching. Me and my bros, we talk about this all the time. I am one of those cats now. I think I got extra lucky. I cashed in my chips. I was like, oh, she down with me. Yo, my wife is beautiful, stacked, lovely, quiet, but talks, is funny. She great mother. You nigga looked up. He really did. And guys, most guys, I would argue, Jen, the manosphere guys, that is their problem. The women that they want, they can't have. For whatever reason. I don't care if they're dumb bimbos that are just looking for money. Who cares? That's what they want, and you don't have it, and it drives you crazy. And the same thing with the ladies that are mad at them.
And let me say this, peep game. Even when they have a come up, these manosphere and red pill guys, when they have a come up, and now they have popular YouTube channels, right? And now they're in a bracket where they can get beautiful women because they have money, and women like money. That's another thing that makes men cringe. Sorry, women like money. So now when these red pill manosphere dudes are in position to get these quote unquote whores and hoes and the girls with the big titties and the ones that are pretty, because women like money, right? When they're in position to get those bitches, what do those red pill and manosphere leaders do? They do shows and put a bunch of chicks on there that the guys in the chat can't get. That is what they do. That is how they entertain them. Isn't that interesting?
Only fan numbers go up,
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Instead of now you're in a position to lead and teach these men, what do? You get a bunch of women that you know these men can't get. They're going to be mad at. They're going to talk shit in the chat. That is what these guys do. It's all a fucking game. But I'm telling you, there are more men online, and I don't even need the 90%, but there are more men online complaining about they can't get laid versus women online who are complaining that men ain't shit. There are more men online. There are more YouTubers online complaining about they can't get laid and women are hoes and blah, 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 than there are women online saying, where the good men at? The men have taken over. They have taken over the gender wars.
No.
Well, men are more active online and on YouTube, and women are honestly I would say women are more passive and in good ways and sometimes in bad ways, but women for the most part are like, they do, contrary to what the manosphere says, guys, women do get along with the program if they like you. So if you're likable, I keep telling them that, like, if they like you guys, I wouldn't say I'm a scrub. I downplay myself a lot, but like, I'm a regular dude. I am a humble bartender who is really into Jurassic Park toys, and I like talking to people on the internet. That is all I do. And I'm a dad. My wife, I'm not gonna lie, had some offers. When I heard about them, they kind of got me in my feelings. I'm talking like cats in the industry. There was a player for a Philly team that wanted my wife, but guess who married her? Me, because for some reason she likes me. I'm not gonna question it. I'm just going, glory to God. Thank you. I'm happy. Guys, if she likes you, she will rock out and she will put up with a lot of your bullshit. Oh, she will.
And that's the part that they don't want to realize, is that if you're not that guy for her. You're not that guy. You're just not that guy. When you're that guy, women, they just kind of fall in line. It's like, it's like, okay, cool. We doing this. We gonna rock, But I want to address the cultural thing that everyone keeps wanting.
Thank you, Lily, because I'm like, everybody I'm not missing any point. Whether it's cultural, so because it's cultural, it's okay that she got hit in the face with a brick, and the other men were like, "No, we're not going to do anything about." I'm not understanding this repeated. You're missing it. It's culture. It's culture. Like,
I don't care. This is the United States. That ain't our culture. Even if we allow it and stuff is weird, we don't accept it here.
So women can get abused as long as it's cultural.
Well, that's the thing. People want to use culture as if it's some kind of a catch-all to excuse bad behavior. There's a lot of cultural things that are deplorable and awful. I mean, there just is. So to say, well, you don't understand, it's a cultural thing, is just missing the point.
Well, maybe
that's like if you had a culture, like if it's part of your culture to be cannibals and shit, and then you move over here, it's it's just their culture. They eat people. Don't worry about them.
Don't be prejudiced now.
We ate your nephew. Sorry.
We're tolerant of cannibals on the block.
I mean, there are things in people's cultures that are like I said, that are just horrible. So instead of making excuses, you need to, and it's not necessarily just judging from a Western point of view. It's just, beating up on women is not a plus in anybody's culture.
Germany, not 1943.
Okay, so.
But uh-oh.
It's time. It is time. That is the race bell, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Brother Ish, glad you're here. So, this has grown new legs on TikTok, and now the conversation is Black women are the most disrespected, unprotected. Say it with me, class. Disrespected,
Suspected, unprotected.
unprotected,
Women on the
right?
face of the earth.
Yep.
There you go. We all know
I
the
kinda
quote.
disagree.
That's
You're
a
I
Malcolm
disagreeing?
X quote. That's a Malcolm X
I
quote. Easy,
well,
easy,
no,
soldier.
no,
Easy.
no. I'll say back in the '60s that might have been correct. I think because many Black women have stepped up in society as far as like they're
Lily.
making they're. I think that Black men are more disrespected than Black women.
I think there may be something a little bit to what he's saying. I think get this. I think realistically,
Yeah,
Black
y'all
women
better get to
are the most.
elaborating.
No, no, no.
I'm waiting.
Because
Realistically,
I'm putting the bullets in the revolver.
reality.
Y'all better get to explaining that shit.
In reality,
makes
I
sense.
do think Black women are the literally, again, and even if it's by a little bit, are the most like they get the most shit in all from like violence, talk down, all that. They get it the most literally. However, it has become taboo to speak bad or ill of them out loud. Does that make sense? In our culture,
If Haran is watching, he gonna jump. He gonna stop what he's doing.
It has become taboo to speak ill of Black women aloud. So culturally, so like even when we hear stories like with the brick, while that is justified, that should make anyone cringe. We people really band together whenever a Black woman does something very well. Black woman could do something like just regular, which is again an accomplishment. But it's like, hey, it doesn't know like the first Black woman to, I don't know, make a 78 layer cake, and it's like, okay, that's dope, but like, okay, I don't know, it's just like, oh, Black girl magic, and it's like, so that's what I mean. But in reality, Black women do get like, again, because like I said, I looked it up today during a panel, and I was expecting to see something different, and I learned that Black women, the violence, it is insane. It makes me feel a type of way in multiple areas, and like I have to get to the bottom of it. But I think again, out loud, we cannot dare say anything about them. The magic queen that is Black women.
I think what the distinction is now versus the past is that women are now Black women are now in a space where they speak up. Okay, whereas in the environment in the 60s and even the early 70s, a Black woman would speak up, she would end up missing, and there wouldn't be a follow-up, there wouldn't be a march, there wouldn't be, candles on the corner, it wouldn't be a thing. So now there is a space for them to stand up for themselves, and that's where that dynamic of you saying we can't speak ill about Black women, but be very clear, emphatically clear, the abuse, the disrespect, and the disregard for women of color exist at a ridiculous rate. Rape is a common thing in the community, and in multiple layers. So for us to even just say that that's not the case, and this is a new age and things have changed, they've changed so that some of the repercussions don't exist in the past, but the disrespect and the abuse still exists. Ergo, a woman got hit with a brick.
Right. I mean, I see a blatant attack on Black women, on especially in these internet spaces for sure. And like Spro said, the numbers even follow that up, not just in the internet, in real life, right? So I don't think that that's something that should even be up for debate, if you ask me. Because I mean, even online, right? I'll see men and women come to the defense of a Black man, and then I'll see men and women come together to tear down a Black woman all the time. So from my perspective, from my viewpoint, they still are the least protected, and most
that violence to
disrespected.
really happen, a
a war between black people and white people was definitely going to start. And I'm not even going to say a war, but something was going to start.
What was that? Oh. Uh-oh. Jen,
So-
you're on mute.
That was Jen
So-
looking for some sound
I
bites.
sure was. Hi, George. Welcome to the block. How are you, sir?
Oh, I am doing swimmingly well tonight.
Oh, swimmingly well.
Yeah, swimmingly. And
Swimmingly well.
and no Saint, those poor Tigers just couldn't get out of their way this weekend, it looks like. But anyway, Jen, I got a comment and a question for you, and then I'm out.
Yes.
Comment is about the cultural thing. Don't be too quick to discount that. For me, if I'm going to raise that question to you about culture, it's not in a way to justify what's happening. It's more like to understand. And I'll just give you a couple examples. In the UK, when you have a culture come in to an environment where values are held that are like diametrically opposed to what you're about, some really touchy things can happen. Well, in the UK, they have courts there now that are Islamic. And Brother Ish, you want to chime in on this, counter what I'm about to say, or give clarity to it, please do. But they have Sharia courts over there set up that are kind of, I don't know that if you can say they run parallel to British law, but they're allowed and they're recognized. And of course, depending on the values and stuff that where people come from, and those values in those countries, it can certain things can happen that will, where the community, like in the Somalian community here in Houston, and I'm just saying, it could lead to them where they say, hey, I don't see a problem or not jumping into a situation, because if you're in that environment where you're from and that's normal, or at least normal to them, that could happen. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm not saying it's right, but remember, when we're looking at people from other countries that come here, I deal with this in my own job. I see it where talking about women, people who come from certain parts of the world, women are considered to be much lower status. And so much so that certain men who are in positions of power will not listen, will not take into account. It causes conflict. And so over time, they've had to manage this stuff out through different ways and things like that, kind of like telling them people, hey, look, this is the United States. This is not where you came from. This is kind of like the way we do things here. If you're going to be successful in this company, you're just going to have to put that stuff aside. It's kind of like where I'm coming from. But UK comes to mind, the whole bit in France comes to mind, where you have cultural values that are very different than each other, where they meet. And then you might be able to see these kinds of things. Now, admittedly, I may be just cherry picking something from the worst part of one part here to illustrate my point, but I'm just saying, because there's a whole bunch of other things that are going on. That's my whole thing there on the comment, basically. Now, my question is, Jen, in light of all of this, have you now reconsidered your position on coffee dates? Have you softened that just a little bit? Just a little bit.
So let me address the first thing you
The
said.
most important
One lump or two?
Right, two. So I will say this. I wasn't discounting culture. I was discounting the justification of violence towards women regarding culture, because I didn't even see you say it. It was a woman in the chat who kept saying, I keep missing that it's culture. And I'm not missing that it's culture. There are a lot of cultures globally that are absolutely disgusting. Right? They're absolutely disgusting. There's violence towards children. There's violence towards women. All kinds of things are happening. I was saying that is not a justification. I'm quite clear. I'd go to India and be like, oh my God, why are you doing that to the women here? Right? Second thing, coffee dates. No, sir. No, sir. And if you pull a brick out on me, you're going to go home Swiss cheese. Okay, that's all I'm gonna
take
say.
that with you on the way down.
That's all I'm gonna say. All right, I am very careful. With that said, do you have to go, George, or can you hang out?
Yeah, I'll hang out for a few more minutes. I think y'all are about done anyway. So
Yeah, definitely. So going back to the race thing, I agree, but then I disagree with some of the stuff you said, Ish, because you're like, back in the day, it sounds kind of like it's reminiscent of the manosphere. Yeah, men have a space to talk now. Listen, we live in America, okay? Freedom of speech like a motherfucker. People have always said whatever the hell they want to say here, with the exception of, I want to hurt the president of the United States, right? People say whatever they want. In my opinion, when you say something like you discount, Angela Davis, Sada Shakur, like these women yelled from the top of their lungs on podiums, okay, about their power and their beauty and how they ain't taking shit from people. So now you're saying in the 50s and 60s, Black women weren't talking? What?
Well, let me qualify that. And from the late 60s, when you have those Angela Davises and those individuals who stood out and took a different position, my grandmother's period of time, they don't speak like that.
But that's women in general. That's not just Black women. That's women. And remember, the women had to fight for the vote. Okay, like that's women in general.
And if that's not true, because I shared something to our private chat, a song from 1938 that would make Little Kim blush. Okay,
yeah,
they were speaking way worse, like it was like Pound Town lyrics. Okay, so
I mean, I heard the song. I believe I've heard that song, and I'm familiar with that. And of course, you had nuances like that, but as a cultural norm, during the era of Jim Crow, Black women weren't being as aggressive verbally. That whole expression, and it wasn't just because of this level of civility. There was the potentiality of death. So that's what I was saying as far as that time period and those people that came from that era. I'm not saying that once you had the Black Power movement.
Let me remove you from my channel since you got a problem with what I'm talking about.
Put them out their misery.
I just put you out your misery. Now you don't got to hear me talk about anything. Goodbye. Have a good day, sir or woman. Whoever the fuck you are, GA. Whoever the fuck GA is, get the fuck on. Anyway, I understand what you're saying. Is you're like, well, those are nuances, but there were women in music. There were women in politics. There were women, you know what I mean? And they were Black, and they were raising Cain and Abel.
First millionaire in America was a Black woman.
Yeah, I mean, these women were no joke, from way back then. So when you're saying, Black women were afraid to speak or they would be killed, like, what do you mean, on the plantation? Is that where you mean? Because as far back as I could think, even describing my grandmother, Lily, you describing your grandmothers, like these women, I don't know exactly.
A force to be reckoned with.
Right. I don't know. And these women were loud and proud. Right.
I
don't know.
I think that there's a confusion, and I don't know, because I'm a young bull. I wasn't back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hear mostly younger people, when they're like back in the day, people was bent over pregnant. Women were grinding. They were I feel like it was a different time, and it was at a time where it was people, like how you were saying earlier, Jim, where you're like, people need to reckon hey, we're different. No shit. I think back then people just got with it, and people just did what was needed or whatever they could do to get shit done. And I feel like nowadays, because of multiple reasons, the men are frustrated, and because of the frustration, they're like, oh, when were men not frustrated? When wasn't it like this? And they look at that, and they look at those things that identify in the areas where they're frustrated, whether it be their girlfriend's getting on their ass, or they can't get a date, whatever bullshit reason. And not to say that they don't have okay, you're not getting laid. I would be mad. I'm not saying that people are incredibly wrong. No, they're wrong. If it goes to hatred and stuff, yeah, it's wrong. But back reminiscing about the old days, women were grinding too, guys. Think about it, was war times. Guys were gone. How did you think things stayed afloat here?
Especially Black women. A lot of Black women didn't have the luxury of being stay-at-home mothers and stuff like that. So a lot of Black women were always working.
And they held it
Like I said,
down, and they were
and they
married.
held it down. My great grandmother, like I said, my great grandmother was born in 1919, and she raised 8 children by herself. Never was on welfare. You know, she was a proud one. She was one of them talk loud and strong Black women. So yeah, it a lot of people talk that back in the day stuff and don't even have a clue.
So let me ask this, just stick in a race, right, for a minute. You know, it's been proven, right? And some of you may disagree. The Black community, which I don't think there's a real Black community, but the Black community is matriarchal. We had a stream about that.
Very
It
good
is
stream, actually.
right. It's matriarchal, right? Big Mama. Adam Hearn said Big Mama, right? We don't hear about Big Papa in the Black community. It's Big Mama, Mama's house, Mama said. Even Tyler Perry models himself after Big Mama, the
Or the
woman
matriarch.
the matriarch, right? And it's a
Or where that boy
staple.
mama at? Where that boy mama at? They don't
It's
never
a
ask.
it's a staple in the Black community. It is a staple. Big Mama is the staple, right? So one would dare to say, well, is the Black community matriarchal? And this is why the question mark goes over my head when I hear it say, well, you know, back in the day, women wouldn't. Are you kidding me? Black women run Black men. Black men are intimidated by Black women. I've experienced it. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen adult Black males act like children when Black women are around. And it doesn't come from a space of, before you retort, and I'll pass the mic after this, it does not come from a space of women are usually the vision for a man, right? We're more meticulous. We nurture children, right? We are advisors to men. That is the nature of woman to a man, right? I'm not talking about from that space. I'm talking about, I wish you would. I beat the black off you. Don't play with me, boy. Put that back over there. I said, don't fuck it. I'm talking about, it's a different energy than I am your visionary. I am your helpmate. Black women are not wilting willows or willies. Now, that's not to say, I'm not saying that Black women are stronger than any woman on the planet, and that's why they got experimented on back in the 19th. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that Black women have never been these wilting willows who are now able to talk. They are a force. Black women have always been a force. So I don't get this. I don't know. I see this teeter-tottering with the most unprotected and the most disrespected, but Black women are a force. I see it as they've never stood to be disrespected and unprotected, in my opinion. However, you're making it sound like they're these tiny little feminists and Black men running. The Black community is matriarchal. It's matriarchal.
It's only
I
highlighted
agree. I
because of the
agree.
divide.
But let me make this very clear, emphatically clear. And you're right in relationship to how Black women conducted themselves within the home, within the family, within the community. I'm talking about outside of those areas. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the spaces. My grandmother was that person. But I knew that when my grandmother, who, reigned fear in our entire family, and we didn't call her grandma, we called her mama. Her son called her Mrs. Reed. So I'm very clear on that aspect of it. But when it came to how she talked to the police, how she talked to white folks in certain environments, her tone was totally different. And that's the distinction that I was speaking of. Like you don't have that range of limitations now in relationship to how Black women are willing to communicate and challenge the environment.
Wait a minute. So then that opens up Pandora's box, because when Black women lash out, they don't lash out towards the white men and they lash out to the Latins, they lash out to women who are lighter skinned, they lash out. Then we're opening up, it's a whole other different layer. Because if you're saying, right, it's like, oh, now I am woman, hear me roar, now I can talk back. Where is that energy being projected? That's my question. Now that they can speak, right? Because look, you're saying that in the home, they were ruling the roost, right? But out in the world, they were, being mousy with the white man or whatever, or the cops or whatever. It's like, oh, let me speak in a lower tone. But at home, They were the men of the house, right? And I'm using the term loosely. They were the men of the house. So now, fast forward 2023, they can say and do what they want to whoever. Where is that energy? I am woman, hear me roar. Where is that energy now being projected towards? Where is it going now? Is it just telling white women they shouldn't wear braids in their hair? And now we could say that out loud. Like, where is it being projected? How is it being used? Are they telling black men they ain't shit? Like, how is it being used? Because to me, it kind of seems like still the same.
The black women are only saying something because the black men are saying something. The black men, even though they are drawling, they definitely are, and it's cringe, and like they just need to shut up and stop crying. Their point, like there's something to their points. You can have a matriarchal society, even amongst humans, and it not be dysfunctional. That doesn't mean that men and women lose their roles or their differences. A matriarch is something, and kind of like how I think what Ish was trying to say was he was like, oh, his grandmother was the matriarch, you know, like she called the shots. She told people, like, she kept everyone organized, you know, everyone had their roles, and she was the I wanted to say man with a plan, but she was the mama with a plan. However, he was saying, like, you know, but in public, you know, she conducted herself differently. So I think what that may be speaking to is it's like, you know, like black women are strong. We are matriarchal. It is a matriarchal society. I think there is a lot of dysfunction amongst us now. Human societies, because feminists love to bring it up, there are plenty of tribes and bumblefuck somewhere that are matriarchal. You can have a matriarchal society. Think about it. In the wild, the lions, there's just only like 1-2 males in a pride. The males technically run the show, but the women do all the work and they organize it. Orca whales, my favorite animal on this planet Earth. Matriarchs, but the males play a role. The males are 3 times the size of the females, but Big Mama runs everything and they're organized. The males are still the males and the females are still the females. And humans can do it too. I think usually with humans, males usually are more equipped considering the kind of animals we are in the leadership roles. But that does not mean that a woman is not capable of it, because we're still a human. You can have a matriarchal society. Black people are dysfunctional as fuck. We have a bunch of other things, kind of like the stuff you were saying about like, oh, why are black women then having all these other issues with women of different cultures, or they're attacking their men, blah, blah, blah. These are other things that, again, just postmodernism. Hell, we're in the West. And black people, because of their particular role in the structure of this country, are getting a lot of the extra bullshit that everyone, again, white people are being affected too, guys. Latin people are being affected too. Jews are being affected. Everyone's being affected in the West. Like, we are on some fuck shit. This is Sodom. We're crumbling. So yeah,
I concur. I would say in compliment to that statement, you know, when you, in answer to your question, newfound power makes them, I don't want to use the N word, crazy.
With great power comes great responsibility. And the woman,
but at the end of the day,
newfound power and newfound money.
You know, and new money and new situations, a new voice. It's lashing out in all kind of directions, and until it really gets checked and gets, you know, put back into perspective, then does it kind of like we'll find our grounding place. But I think we're just right in the middle of this kind of weird power paradigm that we're experiencing, and we're, you know, lashing out, and newfound sexuality and all these different things. Excuse me. These newfound things that, you know, we're like children in a situation, in my opinion.
Wait a minute. Who's like children? Because Mr. Justin said, and many black men seem to be stuck in angst-filled, rebellious teen mode. Is that what you mean by we're like children?
Agreed.
Absolutely, you know, on that level, and, you know, multiple levels. Newfound sense of sexuality and sensuality is being expressed in some very extreme ways, where the concept of being a hoe is now fully acceptable, which is, you know, I think is crazy, because now the full fashion expression you can find on Hunts Point or Figueroa. I mean, I'm just, you know.
No, that's what I said yesterday. I said the rappers, the strippers, and the R&B singers all look the same now.
Exactly. And hookers.
Now, but do you think that they say, you know, it's because we're in the West, so there's America. Like if you go to Brazil, everybody's ass and tits are out. Do you think that's an American thing? That we're like, oh no titties?
No, I think I mean, I think we're the titty capital. You know, I mean, their expression is different. I think there's the climate dynamics. There's just different cultural dynamics that lend to that. But ours is more sexually expressed, more for the purpose of just fully, arousal and attention dynamics.
I agree with that. I agree with
We
that.
act
So
on
it's
it
like,
and justify it more. Other places just do. We
yeah,
talk
that's
about
true.
it more.
No, I agree with that. Like if you go to Brazil and you see a half naked woman, the locals would be like, whatever. If you see a half naked woman out here, dudes, their tongues and tails are wagging, and they, oh my God, it's a big deal here. So I do agree with that. I agree with that.
Because we like to say that that's not okay and that we don't like it. But our act, same thing back to see Chekhov's gun. It all comes back. I said this earlier. It's like we like to say that, Black women are precious queen, but the statistics show that they are getting done dirty. So
I agree. We still are in the space of trying to, for pardon the urban vernacular, but hoe our women out. I mean, we're sitting there slutting our women out on a regular basis, and
I don't think it's us. I think we're doing the same thing. I think we live in a culture that glorifies sexual promiscuity and hedonism, and we don't care because we live in a day and age now where, God forbid, if you don't like something or if you want to do something, you should just do it because, follow your heart, right? Because that's always a good fucking idea. So we tell people if it feels good, then it's okay.
You're gonna be hilarious as the parent of a teenager. Oh my God.
I cannot, my wife is so scared of my daughter getting older. And there was a time before my daughter was born, when I found out I was having a daughter, I was like, I don't know if I could do it. And I remember people were telling me, they're like, oh, you gonna spoil that girl. She's gonna have you wrapped around your finger. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. And even though she's still very young, I don't fall for any of that shit. I definitely have a softer heart now, but I cannot wait until she's a teenager because I'm happy for her. I just got to make sure I stay on my shit so that I'm ready for when those days come. I'm going to be, all the teenage girls are going to wish that I was their dad because I'm going to be very understanding, but I'm going to keep it a fucking buck. I'm going to be definitely protective. We ain't no funny business going on. And I like to think that I keep the same open mind and yet wisdom that little bit I have now then.
I can picture you when she's a teenager. Oh yeah, follow your heart because that shit always works.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her straight up. Be like, hey, if you think it's okay, it's probably not.
Okay, so do you think that there should be a general? Because in the video, I'm gonna play the video one more time, and then I'm gonna ask one final question. Thank you for the super chat, Haran DeMarco. You're off tonight, but we need the debrief, sir. I don't know if you got my DM. Haran DeMarco says, "Oh, Ish, you agree." When the white man, Mr. Justin, said, Black man is running around here behaving like a child. But when I say it, I need to cut the Black man some slack. Laughing out loud. That's a fair question. Because I'm not even going to lie. When I read that and I read it to you, I was like, Ish ain't going to go for this. So I was a little surprised that you did. That was my thought. I was a little surprised. I was like, Ish ain't gonna let this white man get away with this. But you agreed. So you're gonna have to answer for that, sir. You in the hot seat. Order in the court.
I mean, the condition of our community bears witness to that circumstance. Whenever I've talked about it, I've talked about the source and where it comes from. That's where I've always addressed the issue. But when we talk about our community, and how we're interacting with one another, how we're not taking charge of our community, not taking charge of our children, not taking charge of the crime in the community, in mass. There are obviously anecdotal and pockets of experience with environments where men take charge and go into schools and stop certain behaviors or whatsoever. But on a large collective level, it's not happening. So identifying that truth and accepting that truth is a reality. It has nothing to do with, whether the white man said it or not. I'm not kowtowing to any cracking. But I just, just so Haran, it's clear.
Well, I listen, hey. It is that type of night. So let me ask the final question of the night. And I'm going to play the video. I want you to listen to what she said because I'm going to ask a question about what she said in this video before we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I hope you did that already. I had to block one person because what you're not going to do is pull up to the block and tell me what I can't and can't say because of this flag back there. Okay? That's what's not going to happen on the block. So I release you from the pain. I release you like Kevin Gates said, I release you with love, but I release you. Okay?
Jen, talking about the flag real quick. Why? I know you Puerto Rican pride, yeah, but
Yes.
where was the set that you had behind you?
I'll tell you backstage, George.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, guys. So hit that like and subscribe for Mama. I do want to play this video again for everyone who's here late. Then I'm going to ask a question. Ish, Spro, I hope you guys are paying attention, though you are not on screen.
Undivided.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to play this. I want y'all to listen to what she said, and then I'm going to ask a question. Don't forget to cash app the lady on the block with Jen. Follow all of us on Instagram, por favor, and on YouTube so you can keep in touch. Let's play her video again.
This man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just watch, and they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me, fucking grabbed a rock, and it hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. Y'all see that shit? Y'all see that shit? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face? Man, fuck all y'all niggas. Have I ever done to anybody in my life to deserve this? I never did anything in my life to hurt anybody. Literally, a man asked me for my number. I said no, and he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, what you gonna do? And I told all these men, like, yo, why this man got a brick on my face?
Woo, that is some fucked up shit. So I will say this to something that Spro said earlier, whether or not the man who responded was like, hey, I was there, she's whatever in the neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, right? I don't know about the Somalian culture. I have no fucking clue, okay? I know growing up in the South Bronx, right? There were all kind of characters in our neighborhood, right? And we had one guy specifically, and this probably in your neighborhood too, there's always that slow guy. Now everything is diagnosed. This one has autism. This one is on the spectrum. This one is bipolar. We have all these diagnoses now, right? But growing up, we didn't have those diagnoses. We just had the crazy guy on the block or the crazy girl on the block. On our block, it was Shaheem. And everybody knew we always had to protect Shaheem, big as he was, because the whole neighborhood knew he was slow. He was a slow guy. So when people used to come to our neighborhood, right, they would be like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And Shaheem would puff up like he wanted to fight. And we had to be like, that's Shaheem. Look, that's how he is. You know, so it was a community, you know what I mean, that knew that. So when I hear these men say, well, yeah, she's whatever he said about her in the neighborhood, she's always got a loud mouth or whatever, to me is not an excuse, because if you know that, I would think you'd be like, look, that's just how she is. And I'm not even saying she said anything crazy to the man, because we just know she got hit with the brick, and she's saying is because she didn't give him her phone number. She didn't say it was because we got into an argument. And we all know as women, okay, women, you're watching, Lily, I'm sure you can vouch for this. When men get rejected from us on even the slightest thing, have a nice day, I'm not interested, no thank you. Why you ain't smiling? Why you ain't talking? Men talk to women like they're entitled to their time, to their reaction, to their affection, even when they don't know them. That is very, very common. That is the culture. That is the culture. We can't walk down the street. Oh, you ain't all that anyway, bitch. You know, that is the culture. That's why this situation is very, very believable. But there are two things that she said that caught me. She said, all these black men just watched. All these black men just watched. And she's pleading in a way that I've heard a lot of black women plead is, I want you to be a man. That's a huge issue in our communities. I want you to be a fucking man. Like, why don't you just be a fucking man, right? You get into a relationship with guys, give him the benefit of the doubt, you that ride or die, and then he's just not up to the standard. And we just be a fucking man. Just be a fucking man, Mookie. Okay, it's even made it into our movies. All right. So with those two things said, do you think that there's a huge racial component in this? And she's saying all these black men just watched. Is there a higher expectation for black men, or is it that the expectation is that they're not going to stand up and just be men? Like she said, I want you to be men. Is this plight justified? Lily?
I can answer that. So, you know the full story. I shared about what happened last week. In the subway station, me and a young lady, she's 17, and it was myself, and we had an incident with the guy, and two black men came to our defense. Like they swooped in and handled the situation right before the cops could even handle the situation. Um, and to your point, yes, I was shocked because I don't expect it because it's not something that I see that often. Lately, back in the day, yes. Recently, not so much. So it was a pleasant surprise, but then I was sitting like, damn, I shouldn't be surprised by this, but it is what it is. But that was me. That's just where I was at. Somebody else may not be surprised. Somebody may expect it. I'm just saying that I didn't, based off of the things that I've seen recently.
Jen, you're muted.
I see the Tariq Nasheed's arguments happen in the chat. Somalians ain't black. Didn't Somalians say they weren't black? They are black. They not black. You know, that's a whole other fucking show. And we
Who
don't got time
cares?
tonight because we're closing. We're closing. But, you know, it's like that whole Tariq Nasheed. They said they wasn't black. You know, people are black very conveniently and not black very conveniently according to who you're talking about. I'm speaking specifically, she said these black men. Now they were between Nigerian and Somalians. That was the crowd of people that were there were Somalian and Nigerian. Okay. Some people identify as black, although they're from somewhere else, and some people don't identify as black, and that is okay as well. However, I'm addressing what she said, these black men, and she was referring to the men in that crowd who maybe very well identify as black. I don't know. That's a show for another day. I don't get into that stupidity. However, Ish Spro, what do you think about the racial factor in this when she says all these black men just watched? She didn't say all these men. She said all these black men. So is she expecting something more from black men? And then I'm going to ask the white men a question.
I don't think so necessarily. Okay, so I'm glad you showed it a second time. So I got to see it a second time. I need to give an exclaimer or a disclaimer. I am not defending her getting hit with a brick for denying a guy her number. I am not defending that. I'm not saying that no one should have jumped in. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not justifying any of it. I'm not saying, oh, she had it covered. I'm not saying any of that. So don't even in the chat. No one. I'm not even looking at it. But
that's what they all say, Spro. Yeah, just kidding. Go ahead.
I really am not. Usually, sometimes I'll have it open, but today I'm just lazy. But anyway,
go.
She was filming it herself. She was filming it herself, and she said it. She said it because she was on camera, and there were only black men there. And that is something that is in the zeitgeist. It maybe is something that's been in the back of her head. Maybe she saw a video somewhere or that narrative. She may not even feel that way. But in that moment, even if it was a bunch of sisters there, I'm telling you, she would have been like, all these black women and y'all ain't do nothing. Nobody did nothing. It was only men there. From the looks of it, and even in the video she showed, it was only niggas there. It looked like she was the only lady there. If there were ladies there, they got the hell out of Dodge, so they couldn't be held accountable. But the brothers were there, and that's why she pointed it out. I don't think it's necessarily, again, I'm not saying that in the black community, black men protecting black women isn't an issue. Like I said, I saw that there's a lot of violence against them, but this ranges in all ages, from all reasons. I have a theory. I think most of it is stray bullets because black women just... There's more women than men, and they're around, and that's my honest opinion. That's why I think, as far as the gun violence. However, I think I think she was holding the camera herself. I think that she brought it up. I think she was justified in being upset. She was justified in being like, why didn't anyone come to my aid? The race thing, I think, was only brought up because those were the people that were there at the time. She was on camera. She was in her feelings, but that doesn't take away from her. She's justified in feeling upset. And even to Lily's point, where being like, oh, I was surprised by it. One, that is sad. However, at the same time, I think some of it is just even anyone. If someone in public does something kind for me, I'm always shocked and very surprised. I'm a bartender. I've given bulls, they want one draft. I give it to them, and I look up, and it's a bean on that joint. I'm like, who was that? Who was that guy? Like, who? Like, come back, be a regular. You know, so like I'm always shocked by kindness. And I can only imagine from women, from men, and you even said, Lily, you were like, yo, back in the day, you know, not so much. But nowadays, yeah. I think the divide between men and women and people talking about it adds to the fuel. So when people experience things, they're like, oh, that must be what it is. But I think in general, we fellow humans, we are just breaking down more. And because men and women are different, we're breaking down in different ways, and it's affecting the other party. That's
Do you think that let me see if Ish could come back for this. Do you think that Black women realistically, do you think they unrealistically expect Black men to always cape for them or come to their defense or protect them?
I think there's something to their argument. I do not think, and this is from like I said, I've been spending time with like Divester. Do you guys know about those broads? They are insane. I feel bad for them. They're so hateful, and it's weird. Again, if you want to be with a white brother, go ahead. You know, like, again, that's fine, but like their reasoning, and it's like they don't even understand. Oh, and they do so many hate streams on Passport Bros, and I'm like, you're doing the same thing. Don't you see? I feel bad for them, and it's not for those reasons. It really isn't.
Okay.
I wanted to say something that may be a little off topic because I'm diving in and out, but there's another video of this young lady complaining about men and not needing men, and that she lives a certain lifestyle. And that's kind of interesting to see that this circumstance kind of comes up for her.
Adds
you really going there?
I don't think
you're really going there.
Ish,
I really going there.
I want to drop that in the
You're really going there.
No, that's a real reason.
No, but wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. You just called Mr. Justin a cracker. Okay.
True.
If he was the only one around that could save your life, you'd be reaching out to him. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Like, don't do that. It's bad enough these men are attacking this woman and trying to discredit her. I don't care what GoFundMe she put up. I don't care what attitude she has. She got hit in the face with a brick. I don't know why. I don't even know why this is a debate. She got hit in the face with a brick. I do not understand.
I laid it out perfectly. You were ready.
What I'm saying is, and I started off with that point. So I want to be clear that that's my position. Okay. I'm saying that it's interesting that this comes up in a situation based upon things that were said out there. That's my point, and I wanted to drop that in the conversation for us to discuss that dynamic.
I guess you wanted to get cut late in the stream, because let's just say maybe she still doesn't need a man. Is that a crime? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is not needing a man punishable by violence?
No one's saying
what is it with y'all?
No one's saying that, Jen. What I'm saying is the response in those around her that know her, and the ambivalence in relationship to what happened to her.
But now you're assuming that those men that were around her were looking at her TikTok, and they were all looking at her TikTok and say, hey, look, this woman said back in 2021 that she don't need no men. Let's let her get beat down with a brick. Come on.
No, right. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that the TikTok was the limits of her expression. If she's around in that area, in that community, and folks know her, she may be continually expressing that, and that may be one aspect of the ambivalence in relationship to their attitude.
But you're speculating.
Hold on. I'm not agreeing with the action. I'm giving a comprehensive understanding of the environment and why and where these other individuals are working from. So that's why I dropped it into this conversation, because we are discussing all the mutable points.
You're trying
No.
to understand
But
why the
you know
people that
what? You
didn't
know what
react
ish?
react.
What do you,
You know what
wait,
it's
wait a minute,
like?
wait a minute.
Okay.
Why they didn't react, bro? You just said that you have a family to go home to. That's enough for
Again,
you.
I just okay. So here's
Whether
the thing.
whether the woman is a nun or not, you just said I'm going home to my family, and I said
Again,
that's understandable.
I'm not saying that that's my reason. I'm trying to personally, I worded when I gave my point, I worded it very specifically to try to give everyone's points. And I thought Ish was going to come in. And honestly, I thought he was going to dicky and be like, oh, Spro is so awesome. But like, I got into my ego and he didn't do that. And I feel like he messed it up. And like, but I get what he's trying to say. I think, so the point that he brought up, I think, and interrupt me if I'm speaking for you and it's not correct. He was adding on to what I was saying about, okay, so she, like I said, I feel as though she mentioned and highlighted black men because, again, it's something that's in the zeitgeist. And those are the people that were there. She was filming it. She was in her feelings. And that, again, so she was like, she would have, no matter who was there, if it was a bunch of black women, she would have been like, why didn't you come to my aid? The issue here is that no one came to her aid. It is highlighted even more because it was a black woman and it was black men. And it is highlighted even more so on top of that because there has been increased violence against black women. And then we don't even need to go into like looking at data because we already know that the most people that act out on violence are males. And if it's a particular race that we're seeing an increase in, it's most likely from people of the same race. So that means that black males are the ones that are being violent against black women, right? So that's there. Now, when he says that, it's like, yo, okay, now I was making the point that with this specific incident, I do not feel as though that she personally maybe feels that way. Now, the point that he added was she has made content and said and commentated before about this divide, black men, black women, yada, yada,
Okay,
yada.
wait, okay, let's because we're at the end. I got to cut
Okay,
you off, Spro. Okay, so really quickly, someone said she cried wolf too many times. I don't know how many times she cried wolf. However, that was a real freaking concussion on the side of her head. We have tangible evidence that was not a cry of wolf. George, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Ish, at the expense of putting words in your mouth. So forgive me if I get this wrong. Clarify. What I heard you say, it's almost akin to saying, though you don't agree with the end result of what happened, it's almost as if she wants to have it both ways. I want men to protect me, but at the same time, I don't.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Okay, and that's what I heard too. And I just want to clear something up because a lot of men don't hear things or comprehend things the way they're said, right? When a lot of women say, I don't need a man, I don't want a man. Men here, I don't need men, I don't want men, period. She's saying, I don't want a relationship. There's a lot of women who's like, I'm not interested in a relationship with a man. I don't feel like I need to be in a relationship with a man. But they'll hear, fuck all men. We don't need them, period. Right? So when she did that TikTok, when they hear things like that on TikTok or on social media and stuff like that, they're like, oh, well, fuck her then. She don't need no man. No, she doesn't want a man in her fucking house or maybe in her vagina. Okay? That doesn't mean...
Lily, I would agree with
I don't
your
think her
point
TikTok
right
has
there
anything
in
to do with...
relationship to that. That is what's translated in statements. I think you did a great translation right there. That in that dynamic, that's what's being said and what's being received are two different types of conversation. And the dynamics and the atmosphere that creates, because again, there's a cause and effect. You make these type of statements, whether they heard it or not, I'm not sure, but let's just speculate on one end that these men had heard her say these type of things before. Then they're in their immature state of mind, they're going to hold back their hand. Okay, well, you don't need us to handle that. You know what I'm saying? Now, having been in these type of situations, I've intervened in these situations. I'm looking at all the potentialities on what type of choices and why did no one intervene in the situation or stand around and say, well, what you want us to do? Now, there's two factors that are there. The one factor that this cat is Debo's crazy as hell. I'm not going to go up and fight him against you because he's just a dangerous dude. He hit you with a brick. I know he's got a Glock over here or whatever the circumstances are. I'm not going to get into it. So there's a fear factor line. Okay, I'm outclassed in this situation. I'm not doing that for you, lady with the big mouth. You see what I'm saying? Like that's, I'm just giving it in real time and how people think and how they process information. Not that I'm in allegiance with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that we have to look at when we're making an assessment about a situation. Clearly, let's look at it comprehensively and say, okay, these are the circumstances. These are the choices that people have made. There might be some that say, yeah, I got to go home to a family. I'm not going to come home and say to my wife, why are you all mussed up? Oh, because I was helping this woman. Because who is she to you? You know what I mean? Like that becomes a conversation. You know, there's so many layers of dynamics of it. And again, it's because as a society, we don't have standards. The Western civilization does not have a societal standard that says women should be protected. Bottom line.
Well, we tried to discuss standards last week
Really?
and got beat up. I don't think that people want standards anymore.
No,
Based off
Saint.
of that.
No, Saint. What say you before I ask you guys a question?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for your question, but no, I was just thinking to myself, that's so bizarre. In my world, if you help out a woman that's in distress, your woman's gonna say that was a good thing you did that because they empathize with the other woman, especially being attacked by a man. So it's kind of weird.
And what world is that? No, Saint.
My white world.
Okay. Continue, sir.
Crackerland. Anyway,
Crackerland, next to Maryland.
It sounds like a
no,
fun
I mean, yeah, sounds like a fun place.
It is, bro.
It doesn't. Crackerland. Someone's like Crackerland. I'm like, oh, okay.
Anyway, you ready for your question?
Okay, gentlemen, white gentlemen, thank you for pulling up from Crackerland. I wanted to ask, do you hear that in your communities? If there's a community, I know people say there's no white community, but do you hear that? Is there an expectation specifically from white women to you all that you should be protecting them because they are white?
I mean, I don't know about because they are white, but just in general.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's I'm going to throw one twist on this, is that as things have kind of unfolded, I've taken a lot of self-defense with the firearm classes and stuff like that. And one of the things that came up is about intervening into a domestic dispute. No, Saint, in your role, you can add or take away from what I'm about to say. And that is that if I get involved in a domestic dispute and I go in there to break it up, it can turn on me very quickly. And then therefore it becomes something really, 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 really bad. Okay. So what's been given to me is that, or what I've been told is like, hey, look, if you decide to get involved, keep this in the back of your head. This could go sideways on you pretty quick. So, but if you want to help, you want to play it safe, call 911 and let the cops sort it out. And but yeah, Jen, more to the point of your question, like No Saint, it's not so much because I'm white. It's more or less like it's the whole chivalry. You know, you're the man, I'm the woman. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah,
like the strong against the weak. But I'll say this: to what George is saying, there's actually you've got to evaluate every situation on its own merit, right? But in this situation where you had a lot of men standing around, one person going to the guy with the brick would have invited more people to come in and do the right thing. You see that in studies all the time, where people stand back. As soon as one person goes up, then other people will come up. You know, you got to have that one person take initiative. But you're certainly right. It's not necessarily always a safe thing, especially with everybody carrying weapons these days. You know, you've got to evaluate what you're doing. But in no way, if you did it and you went home, in my world, would a woman say, "What is she to you?" You know, that's just that's
interesting. So to the black man on the ban, on the white man on the ban, because now we're getting spicy. Do you think it's more natural, innate in your communities, white men, where it's like women expect you to defend or protect because it's, you know, you already see women as the weaker vessel, as opposed to in black communities where black women are consistently asking black men to man up, to be a man, to take care of their responsibilities? Do you think that there's a stark difference? What do you see from your point of view, white men, when you look in the black community? You get a little pass. What do you think? What do you say?
Just real quick, Jen, on that first blush at that could very well be the unfortunate phenomenon in the Black community, fatherless homes, where they don't have that masculine, positive role model for them in how to treat women. That's just my take. I mean, I'm not saying I'm just off the top of my head. That's what I come up with. It may be because of that. I'm not saying the white community's that much better.
Mm-hmm.
It's been traditionally more emphasized from what I've seen that way. But that's what I think it might be the issue. Is
Okay.
that, you know?
No
I
say,
know,
what say you?
I know. I'm looking at this.
No say, what say you?
And who drove the black man out of the house?
This is
No say,
hilarious.
do you think it's more natural that white women don't even second guess when white men are around because they're like, well, they're going to protect us. We're the weaker vessel. This is how we are. As opposed to black women are constantly telling black men to man up. Why didn't you defend me? Why aren't you here? Protect black women. There's actually a hashtag, protect black women. I've seen it on t-shirts, protect black women. You don't protect black women. I know even myself, when I've gotten into an argument, say with a black woman, and it could be something light, verbal fisticuffs online. And if a black man is present in that chat, she will direct her vitriol towards him and say, why didn't you protect me against that Puerto Rican woman? So it's let's keep it 100 on the block. You know, we keep it 100.
Mhm.
Why is it that black women are constantly pining for that protection of black men, where in other communities, women just know our men are going to protect us?
Whew. Boy,
You want to say why?
You can answer however you like.
I mean, I'm trying to understand your question. So you're asking why is that?
You can say why. You can say if it exists, if you think it's real, or why. Like, what do you think about?
No, I would agree that it's real. Again, you know, the state of the community is a reflection, I believe, of the men or the males in the community. So when you look at an environment that is out of control and not regulated, that is the fault of the men. And when men have stood up and changed the condition of that community, then you do see a newer standard established. So I absolutely agree that, you know, it's a cause and effect. Men are not standing up. Women have to cry out for help. If men naturally stood up, they wouldn't cry out for help. They look and expand and they know what the expected response is. It's a social standard. So when you talk about the Caucasian community, they are on code, in my opinion. Some, not all. They are on code. I hear it even when I hear No Saint speak. He says we. When he's talking about the United States, I don't say we. I don't see a we when we're talking about the United States government, you know, and Ukraine and all these. That's not my paradigm. So they're on code. You know, and all people, all of the human species is tribal to some degree or another. With, you know, and when you scale them down into smaller environments, then they start finding other nuances to start, you know, separating themselves from. So all that is just a factor of just human behavior. So, you know, when it comes to this society and the culture that we live in, where we are and how we view each other in the dysfunctional state as people of color, you know, that the byproduct is that our women are unsafe.
Lily, what do you say?
Well, I was going to make a point based off of a point that I made last week, and I feel like it's just trying to touch on this, but I'm gonna just go flat out and say it. We're leaving out the fact that a lot of black people don't like black people, right? And you know what I'm saying? And like that, we cannot gloss over that. You know, I know a lot of people would like to gloss over it because it makes them feel good and it's warm and fuzzy inside, and you know, but that's the real thing that cannot be dismissed. And so that's black people against black people. And then when you talk about the gender wars on top of that, now you're dealing with something completely different, right? And then I want to also add to this based off of something that Mr. Justin said. Jen, you see his last comment? He says, is it possible to be the boss, matriarchy, and still be seen as the weaker vessel, right?
Mhm.
So you got a lot of things at play here that's leading to what we're talking about tonight.
I'd love to say it like this. The flu is white supremacy, the byproduct of the sniffles, the cough, the body aches, all the things you just talked about, Lily. Where we're talking about with self-hate, gender wars, and all these dynamics that go on within our community. It's all the byproduct of the flu that we're dealing with.
I think to answer Mr. Justin's question, the answer is yes, because Black women. Because Black women. Is it possible to be the boss, matriarchy, and still be seen as the weaker vessel? Yes, Black women. Black women are the boss of their communities and their homes, 9 times out of 10, right? But they're still weaker to a man's strength. They're still not as strong as a man physically. So yes, No Saint, you wanted to say something to the question, white women and other ethnicities and races of women automatically know that the men in their community will protect them, but it seems like Black women are always pining online. Why don't Black men man up, be the man of the house, put your big boy pants on, protect us. What are you doing? Wake up, be a man. What do you think about the differences of that?
I try to break it down. I mean, there's certainly that element in certain segments of the white community. It's just not as widespread. And I think some of it does have to do with social economic situations, like the white trash guy, right? We always like to bring up the white trash guy. There's a lot of that going on there too, where he's just beating his wife or beating the woman and stuff like that. I just don't think and so it may have something to do with that. It may have a little bit to do with, I don't know. I don't know exactly why. I'm just saying the world I grew up in, the majority of people, that's the way it was. Like, women expect the man to take up for them, to defend them. That's just the way it is. And it shouldn't be. And as you were saying before, even this lady that got hit by the brick, even if she said all those things, I don't need a man, you're still expected to come and defend that person. You're still expected to do that, because it shouldn't be a conditional, you be a man under conditions. You should be a man all the time.
I agree. If you're a man.
Yeah.
I want to deal with this last thing here. Funny, I have a Korean friend that's a woman that for a week has been telling me she views Black men as the most masculine. Well, let me tell you something about Korean women. Okay, I've known many of them, especially when I work downtown. They fetishize Black men.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right. Being from New York, Lily, I'm sure you saw it too. They fetishize Black men. I don't know about the most masculine. They think y'all got the biggest dicks and shit like
That's
that.
about it.
Which is not true. However, they fetishize. A lot of women from different ethnicities fetishize Black men, all right? Way back from on the plantations. But I'm sorry, I have to agree with Cynthia G. I told you she's a necessary evil. There is Black male worship, and in my opinion, it's unjustified a lot of the times, because even your Korean friend will get with that Black guy and he'll run her ragged like he does his Black baby mama. So, by all means, you guys can stick this in whatever orifice fits. Tonight, this was an amazing stream, amazing panel, amazing fucking opinions. Thank you all for speaking freely. Okay.
Before you close out.
Yeah, George.
Okay, this is probably the best place to drop this in. Nobody hasn't really said this yet, but in my cold, steely analysis, did it strike any of you as odd after she got hit in the head with a brick? She has the mental wherewithal to do a selfie about, I just got hit in the head with a fucking brick. Shows up at the hospital. I've got hit in the head. It's just really weird to me. In my view, if I got hit with a fucking brick, I would be like trying to use that phone to call 911. Maybe she did, but I just thought that
a lot of people were asking that. A lot of people
it's really odd.
So this is why it's not odd to me. And I would 10 years ago, I would have agreed with you. I would have totally agreed with you. However, in 2023, these things are now a part of our bodies, right? We see people cry on here. We see people, they broadcast their murders, they broadcast sexual assault, they broadcast their abortions, they broadcast their marriages, the weddings, their deaths. They're at grandma's funeral. Look at grandma in the coffin. It's a whole new day. So now people are experiencing traumatic experiences and they reach for their phone. I've seen weirder shit than that. Quite honestly, I've seen guys say, I'm about to go kill my baby mama. Hold on, guys, watch this. So this is
Plenty
a
of those
whole,
videos.
yes, this is a
Yeah.
whole different world. And this is in us. This is a part of us. We are all addicted. So I am not surprised, especially someone, she seems, when I looked at her social media very, very quickly, she seems like she's a loner. I didn't see her in a group of friends. I didn't see her promoting her family. A lot of people, this is all they have. This is all they have. These are the people. This is their team. And I need to tell you what just happened to me because I know you were going to come to my rescue and my aid. And this is what's going on in 2023. Now, 10 years ago, yeah. 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, she's a weirdo. Today, the things I've seen people, look at my baby's popping out. Everybody watch this. I pushed. How much does it weigh? It's a whole different humanity, and it's getting weirder and weirder, George.
Okay.
It's getting
All right.
weirder and weirder.
White man just needs to get with the times. That's all.
You got to get with the times.
All right,
And let
man.
me tell you, it's sad. I still say it's sad that we're so addicted. And the first thing is to run to the phone. I mean, I see people crying. I'm like, you had to edit that and then like cam down and cam back up and then post it. It's weird, but that's what we're turning into. So I don't find it strange that she did that. I'm like, this is the norm. This is what happens. And I see it all the time. I just got robbed, y'all. I just got robbed. That's where we are. That's where we are, unfortunately. All right, guys. Thank you. This was amazing. Please hit that like and subscribe. Come back tomorrow. Last night's stream was fucking amazing. I dropped a lot of game for the fellas, okay, to watch out. For women, you'll appreciate that one. That's a short one. And tomorrow we'll have some more heat for you. Don't forget On the Block with Jen at Gmail for suggestions, topics, collaborations. On the Block with Jen Cash App if you want to support Mama in the show. Thank you to everyone who held us down in the chat and the super chats. We will see you mañana. Good night, guys.
No,
Fall back.